In 2014, Tom Maclean escaped the corporate cubicle to bring to life a business idea he'd been sitting on for way too long. It's a bottled cocktail drink called Sofi Spritz, and this year he's on target to dish out over 1 million servings of it. Before we get stuck into episode 404 of the Small Business Big Marketing Show, the Marketing Gold is made exclusively possible thanks to American Express. And I say exclusively because for all of this month, Amex has kindly taken all available advertising spots in the show. Gotta love that. So please check out their suite of business cards designed to meet the needs of small business owners just like you. All you need to do, search Amex Business to find out how your business expenses can reward you. And now, on with the show.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back to the Small Business Big Marketing Show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, infinitely more importantly, are a motivated business owner ready to crank out some great marketing to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it deserves to be. Big show today, team. We meet Tom Maclean, founder of the alcoholic beverage Sofi Spritz. Got a great story to tell, has young Tommy. The Small Business Big Marketing Monster Prize Draw begins. Excited by that. And Melbourne SEO Services Dave Jennings and I will show you how to make the right type of content to attract the right type of customers. As per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reid, that's reid.com.au.
So, the Small Business Big Marketing Monster Prize Draw commences in this episode. Very excited. So, what I'm doing is this. I'm asking each guest as they come on the show whether they would be happy to donate some prizes for me to give to you, the listener, and for the guest to get a little bit more exposure. And no one has said no. So I've got a nice little treasure chest of prizes to give away. I've got Uncle Jack's watches. I've got limited edition Orbit keys. I've got some very rare and dry Four Pillars gin. I've got Bunster hot sauce packs. The list goes on. Now, this is how you can win one of those prizes. It's really simple. I'd love you to email me, tim@timreid, reid.com.au, telling me about a marketing idea you've implemented from the show and what it's done for your business. That's all. Or if you don't want to email me, you can leave the same copy as a listener review on iTunes. So all I want to hear is about a marketing idea that you've implemented from this show and what it's done for your business. Doesn't have to be crazy long. Keep it succinct. And if I read your idea out in a future episode, I'm going to pick a prize and send it to you. Got to be happy with that. Hey, and include your phone number because I might just call you like I did with listener and beekeeper Ben Moore. Ben, it's Tim Reid from the Small Business Big Marketing Show.
Hi, how you doing, Tim?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. I just wanted to send out. I'm one of those people that you're going to get this probably daily. Absolute fan, mate. As a full-time beekeeper, I'm always on the road, and mate, it is so inspirational. Like your podcast, mate. It's just that number one. Just always, I'm hanging out every week to go through them, mate. So. No, seriously, hats off to you because what you do is tips. You know what I mean? Yeah, I really mean it.
Well, I really appreciate it, buddy. I got your email and I thank you for that. What I'm interested to know, one idea that you've taken from the show and implemented in your business.
One idea and implemented from the business. I'm going to probably honestly say, pushing the social media. You know what
Yep.
I mean? Definitely. Like I'm not sure if you looked at my Instagram and Facebook, but I definitely, I know it's pretty basic type one, but
That's
you know what I mean?
okay.
That whole social media, that whole social media pushing that is definitely, you know what I mean? Definitely works. You know what I mean? It's
You found the confidence to put it out there.
Yeah, having that confidence to put it out there, and you know what I mean, and letting people know what I'm about, and it's sort of, I wouldn't use the word headache, but geez, you know what I mean, replying to messages, and no, it's not a headache. It's the opposite of a headache. It's
Mate, you are talking to your loyal tribe.
the loyal tribe, you know, and just getting the work from it. You know what I mean? It's sort of, and I think too, as well, you know, one thing I haven't heard in any podcasts, and trust me, I've listened to a lot. I haven't listened to all 400 plus, but definitely,
Come on, mate.
probably a
Come
quarter
on.
of them. It is one thing is no one, I don't know, has really spoke about reviews. You know, what I mean, the importance of actually, you know, reviews.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
have
something-
done an episode on that, buddy, and I'm going to email you the link to it. I'm going to put it in the show notes
good
for an
man.
upcoming episode
yeah,
as well.
I thought you would have. I've been just kind of been working backwards and so forth from it. But it's
Yeah.
no, definitely please, Tim. That'd be awesome.
Benny, love your work, mate. I love your enthusiasm, and thank you so much for all your support.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm going to flick through a review for you on iTunes.
Oh, you're a good man, and I'm going to send you a prize. Haven't chosen what prize yet, but starting this year, I'm handing out prizes for people who ring in and or email me and tell
awesome.
them about something they've implemented. So stay tuned, buddy. It'll be on the email.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is fantastic. That
All
is
right,
very,
Benny.
very cool. And maybe in a year's time, if you want someone different talking, you know what I mean, just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I'll love to have a chat and do a podcast with you.
Mate, love your work. Good on you, Ben. Back to those bees.
No worries at all. I love yours. You take care, Tim. Thanks
See you, buddy.
for the phone call.
Peace.
Take care. Bye.
Oh, there's a lot of love in that room, right? And Ben, you have won yourself an Uncle Jack watch valued at $99. Well done, buddy. I'll be on the email to you. So everyone else, email me, tim@timreid, reid.com.au. Tell me about an idea you've learnt from this show that you've implemented and what it's done for your business. And if I read it out, you too will win a prize. Got to love that. Hey, and before we get stuck into today's interview, I am going to be running a deep dive mastermind. It'll start within the next couple of months, and I will give you all the details next week on how you can join me around a boardroom table somewhere live to discuss your marketing. You and I are going to be meeting some amazing business owners and marketers over the coming weeks. We'll catch up with the founder of Moxie, a subscription tampon service that's smashing it, and race car legend Steve Richards, who's created a great little business scaring the pants off his clients at 300 kilometres an hour. Really good stuff coming up in the weeks ahead. Righto, that brings us to today's guest, Tom Maclean. Maclean, you with me? Who, up until 4 years ago, was working for the man in funds management. He finally escaped his corporate cubicle in 2014, launching Sofi Spritz, a fancy alcoholic beverage. 4 years later, with 2 crowdfunding campaigns and a Shark Tank appearance under his belt, he's got 4 full-time staff. Sofi Spritz is stocked in all the biggest bottle shops in the country. It's on tap at over 100 venues. And how's this? Tom expects to serve up over 1 million servings of it this year. I love a good success story. We cover so much ground in this chat, including how he created the brand, where the name came from, how he's created awareness on a really small marketing budget, and how he's got such incredible distribution. I started off by asking Tom about his time in corporate.
I was behind a desk and doing sales and marketing and kind of funds management, and then had been doing that for coming up on 10 years, made a shift from there into equity capital markets. I only did that for about a year. I think I had the urge to get into my own business, and I was progressively getting closer and closer, but eventually just decided to take the plunge and start my own thing.
Was the urge out of like, geez, this corporate stuff's got hairs on it, or was it like, I really want to test myself?
I think it was a bit of the testing myself. I was probably inspired by friends and family who I'd seen. That was kind of where my interest was always drawn, to people that were running their own business. And it could be just about anything. I always just found it the most interesting thing. I read a lot of management books, that kind of thing. So I'd find myself kind of devouring management books, which sounds pretty weird.
Not really.
But then I kind of reflected on what I want to do, and I was like, geez, I can read those books pretty easily. So
when you looked at these friends and family with their own businesses, what was the conversation you had with yourself?
With myself or with them?
No, with yourself.
Yeah, with myself. It was probably, I think I just like the idea of being the master of your own destiny and charting your own path, I guess. I know that sounds kind of cliched.
Any other motherhood statements?
But I think I just didn't enjoy answering to someone else, to be honest. It's not that I hated it. It didn't feel...
I hated going out and wanted to leave for lunch a half an hour early. I was like, who's watching?
Really? Yeah. And I guess I fell into sales, which I never thought I'd be in. But I guess the thing I did like about sales is if you got results, you got results. It was kind of...
Sure. And now that you are a business owner... was the peering over the fence, looking at family and friends running their own business. Yeah, was it not as hard as it's not as easy as it
yeah,
looked?
That's right. Yeah, no, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you finally made the break. You can't just make a break from corporate because obviously comfortable, good salary, all the benefits.
So what
happened?
I was in the funds management stuff for near on 10 years. Left that, got into equity capital markets. Then I thought, nah, this isn't working, even though it was a good job and cushy and, whatever. But I thought, now I'm going to leave this. I'm going to go back to what I was doing, the funds management stuff, but I'm going to do it for myself. I'm going to be a freelance kind of guy. And a few months into that, I had the idea for Sofi Spritz, and I still hadn't really that business, to be honest, hadn't really got off the ground yet. And I found myself spending a lot more time working out how to make a cocktail rather than working out how to run a funds management, sales, and marketing business.
Well, there you go. Well, clearly it was floating your boat. You're like, this idea of a spritz. Where'd it come from?
So at the time, I was living in Sydney, in Tamarama, just next to Bondi there, on the Bondi to Bronte track.
Nice.
It was a funny little shack. It was a very small little place, but it had a beautiful backyard. So I'd have a lot of barbies. After one of those, it's not the sexiest story, but had a few ciders that didn't sit that well. And I was kind of like, you know what, I'd love to do something with wine that kind of fit that backyard Barbie kind of occasion. And it just sort of seemed like a silly idea. But I then thought back to my time. I'd been living in London and Europe and stuff for years doing the funds management stuff. And I thought back to travelling through Italy and seeing they have a whole culture around the spritz. The piazzas are filled with the people with the colourful drinks around sunset, pre-dinner drinks and whatever. Thought back to that, had loved it, thought it was really interesting, and I thought that could translate to the Aussie setting really nicely, the kind of beachside Barbie. So, mate, just became obsessed with it. And what seemed like a kind of harebrained idea initially, started doing some research, and it kind of stacked up on a few fronts.
What research did you do?
The old Google, and just calling everyone that I knew that had anything to do with wine or drinks or had ever tried to start a drink, or called the bloody CSIRO guys, and they gave me a list of other people to speak to and all that kind of stuff. But a couple of the things that I thought were most interesting was, both on the supply and the demand side. So on the supply side, the Aussie wine industries obviously had a huge period of success and then a huge correction. So there's a huge oversupply of wine in Australia. I saw some kind of mind-blowing stats on what Australia is now exporting its wine for, and it's kind of disturbingly low prices a lot of the time. So I thought, maybe there's an opportunity there to create a new market for what is, great wine.
Because the spritz is essentially flavoured wine with soda?
Yeah, so it's white wine with the original's inspired by the Veneto spritz. You might have seen Aperol spritz. I think that's probably the most popular version of the Veneto spritz.
What's Veneto? Is that a brand?
That's a region. Venice is in Veneto.
Nice.
So they have had different types of spritz. So the traditional spritz is a dry white wine or a sparkling wine with a bitters.
So you've had this idea. You've gone to Italy. You've romantically gone, geez, I'm seeing all these people in piazzas drinking these beautiful coloured drinks. I can bring that back to Australia. Sure, part of that, and I have seen that in those beautiful piazzas, but part of that is the piazza. Right?
Yeah, true.
It's So what made you think that it would work back here, and has it?
I think it has.
Yes.
I think
you wouldn't be because here if it
hadn't. Mate, I think it's an outdoor lifestyle, isn't it? Like they live outdoors in piazzas. Before dinner, we live outdoors in the backyard.
Yeah.
Having a barbie or by the beach or whatever. So I guess it's an outdoor lifestyle. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's what I thought. I thought we would relax it, and so we've made it kind of ready to serve. So you don't need to source multiple ingredients. So we've kind of made it more convenient for the Aussie lifestyle.
So you had the idea. You've done some research. You've asked around. You got on Google. God knows why you rang the CSIRO. I thought they were a serum laboratory, but I don't know what they do.
I think one of my mates told me to. He had some help from me.
So you've done it. You've gone, okay, the valid idea. Yeah. It's valid. You're passionate about it.
Yeah.
What do you do? Do you then go? At what point do you jump off the cliff and leave the security of running a little consultancy or a corporate job behind?
Yeah. Well, I'd already kind of done that.
Okay.
So that decision was
got a bit
made.
of dough behind you.
Not huge amounts by any stretch of the imagination, but enough to support myself for a while.
We're talking tens of thousands of dollars to kind of.
I would have probably invested into this up front, like only about 20 grand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
So you go, I'm in.
Yeah.
Now you know what the product is, essentially. You got to come up with some flavours.
Yeah.
I'm interested in then naming and branding.
Sure. So same thing. So I just called every man and his dog and anyone else I could, every friend I had, and ended up getting introduced to some really talented guys down here in Melbourne. Charles Laubscher, who has a business called Love and Money, and the girls from Willow and Blake who created that Frank body scrub.
Yeah, they've been on this show.
Have they?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I've got to listen to that episode.
It was all about does sex sell?
Yeah, right. Well,
it was because all their Instagram, it's like soft porn. But I digress.
Well, some of the similar thinking went into Sofi as went into Frank. So, it wanted to be a brand personality that came to life through the social media. So I don't want to speak for Frank and the personality there, but I guess Sofi's like wise woman of the world. She's got the Italian heritage, but she's, translated into the Aussie setting, knows how to live life well. So I mean, it's hard to summarise in a few lines, but it's something that we try and bring to life through the social media.
Right. What's hard to bring to life? Well, because I think you described pretty well. So you've got this, what I'd call a brand character or your ideal customer, and you build everything around it. So you've got your 20 grand. I mean, those girls wouldn't be cheap, and whoever else you mentioned. So, but you've gone directly to find someone who can put together some kind of brand strategy and then execute it?
Yeah. I think I met them right. I think they were starting to definitely break through with Frank, but it was probably pre it really taking off. And I worked closely with Charles, who works closely with them. So I think it was win-win. But they were happy to support a little business, which was great.
Yeah. Okay. So then they come along. They do a brand strategy. They name it for you.
They help with the naming, yeah. So we definitely workshopped that for a while, went through a whole heap of names. I had my own sort of ideas. I had a whole kind of look deck and whatever, what I wanted to look like. But in the end, I just tried to find people that I thought were super talented at what they did. So, I mean, on the production side, I found a winemaker, Simon Gilbert, who's a fifth generation winemaker.
Oh wow!
And he helped get the taste right, and an expert flavourist who helped get the other components to add to the wine right, and then Simon and I so. I just recognised that I didn't have the skills, even though you naturally like your own ideas, but I was willing to let them go and go with the experts.
Just tell me about surrounding yourself with super talented people, because only yesterday I was listening to an interview with Australian Dick Smith, who is dyslexic, who has, in his words, very few skills, but he's very good at finding super talented people.
Yeah, right.
It sounds like an expensive strategy, but maybe not.
Yeah, I was probably lucky. I found guys who were good but were expensive, and they were nice enough to say, go and talk to this person who's very talented but at an earlier stage in their career, and is probably looking for interesting opportunities to build on and build a career on.
Sure.
So I think that worked out well, but I think you got to be comfortable with people who are smarter than you in their particular area.
Oh yeah. Well, the minute as a small business owner you try to do everything.
Yeah.
You're just going to spread yourself too thin.
And I was thinking back to your question before about have you learned how hard it is to run a business? I think sometimes when I've tried to do what the experts have done early on, I've learned how good they were at what they were doing, if you know what I mean. So social media has been an area like that where we've tried different things, and I've definitely learned that it's constantly evolving and incredibly challenging. So it's good to trust the people you work with. Yeah.
So Tom, you've come up with the idea, you got some flavours, you've got a name, you've come up with some label branding, obviously the bottle, beautiful bottle, everything, all that's coming together. So now you're all dressed up.
Yeah.
Anywhere to go?
And that has changed since we first started. When we first started, it was a lot more basic and probably not totally right. But yeah, basically when I first started, I did the first batch in late 2013. It was a small batch, started literally knocking door to door, not to houses, but to...
Want to buy a six-pack?
to bottle shops and farmers markets, because it's kind of a wine product we're allowed to sell at farmers markets, which was great.
Yeah.
And those sorts of things were great. So we started out at the Bondi Farmers Market, but I ended up doing just about every farmers market in Sydney, all the food and wine shows. Just started selling mostly through bottle shops initially, but also trying to get into some venues.
Is it literally, you literally do as the founder and owner, did you start, because you got sales and marketing experience, you literally were manning the stands at the farmers markets and then during the week knocking on kind of cool bottle shop doors?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then towards the end of that summer, we ran a little crowdfunding campaign. So we only had the original Blood Orange and Bitters then, and we ran a campaign where we kind of raised some money to help change that packaging that I said wasn't quite right initially. We got that up.
Tell us about the crowdfunding campaign, because they fascinate me.
Yeah.
Was it purely to raise money to redo the branding?
Basically, yeah, to redo the packaging. So the branding stayed pretty similar, but we raised just over 10 grand. So I think we had a target of 10. I think we raised a little over 11.
And what'd you do it on?
Possible. Yeah.
That's the Aussie one, isn't it?
That's the Aussie one, yeah.
What were you offering? Was it equity or was it just reward?
At that stage, I think they've just changed the rules now, and those guys are launching a new platform to do equity based. So there's launching
reward-based crowdfunding.
Yeah, so that was reward based. So we were basically offering drinks and other bits and pieces, but primarily, if you give us $50, we'll send you a case or two or whatever it was.
Yep.
And that helped generate more awareness. It helped prove up the product a little bit more publicly, because crowdfunding, I guess, helps raise that awareness. And on the back of that, we landed a trial with Dan Murphy's, which gave us a bit more scale and got us to test out that new package.
So hang on, two things. Overseas listeners, Dan Murphy's the biggest wine and liquor retailer in Australia. Out of the crowdfunding campaign, you have been noticed by Dan Murphy's? Is that what
I still had to approach them, but I'm confident that they saw that as what's the word? Proof of concept.
You're not a dummy.
There's a market there, and yeah, not a dummy.
Yeah. But that's cool, though, because we all need a hook. We all need a reason for someone to take notice and lean into what we're doing.
Gets help to get a bit of press and all that sort of stuff. So I think, mate, to be honest, in terms of marketing, one of the things I've learned, I guess, is you do what you can do. You know what I mean? Like, I can't afford billboards or TV ads. I could do a crowdfunding campaign. You know, I could go to the farmers market. I just sometimes those sorts of marketing ideas are born out of necessity, but they work almost accidentally sometimes.
Yeah. So you raised your dough, 10 grand. You've been noticed by Dan Murphy's.
Yeah.
Was that a kind of tipping point for Sofi?
Probably, yeah, because then on the back of that, BWS gave us a run.
Another liquor retailer.
So they've got over 1,000 stores. So that was huge for us. And then on the back of that, we went on Shark Tank.
Okay, hold that thought.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
You're just a fundraising machine, eh?
But each thing kind of snowballed.
I reckon Sophie's a front for actually raising equity for other things. And you got a beautiful beach house in Bondi now. Tell me,
a long way from, yeah.
Right. So, with being noticed by big retailers creates, I imagine, problems like supply.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, Dan goes, "Yeah, we like this. We'll take 1 million units or something." Like, how do you manage that? How do you scale up?
Probably like the outsourcing to the experts. We've always outsourced, most of the production. So we use we actually use some guys here in Melbourne again for that production side, the bottling and all that stuff. So they have, capacity to keep up with a lot more than we're doing even today. So,
is it the most expensive way of building a business? Outsourcing to experts? We kind of said you're finding people who are on the way up. They're not necessarily at the top of their game, but they're very talented. But
well, I mean, it would probably, in terms of cost of goods sold, it'd probably be cheaper per unit if we could afford to buy our own factory.
Sure.
But we can't afford to buy our own factory, so it's probably
born
of
that
necessity.
Bondi Beach House before a factory. Goodness me. So, okay, now you've got some distribution, BWS, Dan Murphy's, you've raised some dough. The next stage you're saying you then go Shark Tank. Why Shark Tank?
Well, funnily enough, that was born of. You might have a point about the raising capital thing. No, I was meeting an investor, and he's
an
extreme.
This interview's cancelled. I thought you were a cocktail manufacturer. Okay?
No, well, so this guy was very wealthy and very successful, and I took his advice seriously. And he said, "You don't need money; you need publicity." And so, you could spend, and I think his point is you could spend endless amounts of money on marketing in the booze game, or in FMCG probably in general, and you might not get anywhere, but get really great publicity that money can't buy, and build the story, which is all true, and get that story out there. And you're onto something. And I had thought about it, and I actually used to watch a show a lot. Used to watch Dragon's Den when I was in the UK one. But I never really wanted to go on there. But at that point, again, born out of necessity, he said that to me. It was the right time to do it. We just landed the BWS thing, and we needed to do something to keep the momentum going. And I Googled it, and the auditions were open. So I...
great timing.
It's the right time.
That is a great bit of advice. You don't need money. You need publicity.
Yeah, I thought so.
And so therefore, Shark Tank, big audience, national TV program.
Yeah.
Are you going on not really with the intention of giving away any equity to the Sharks, playing difficult, but if you get on... publicity boxes ticked?
Yeah, to be honest, I was I wasn't overly confident that we would get a deal, but I thought it couldn't go too far wrong, apart from
Did you want a
being
deal?
humiliated on national TV.
Oh, sorry. Did you want a deal?
No, I did, and we got a deal. So we did a deal with Steve and Glenn at our asking price, which was fantastic, and they have been a great support. I now work out of Steve's office in Brisbane in the Valley. Moved back to my hometown, Brizzy, and work out of Steve's office in the Valley.
How much do you have to give away?
So we did 10% for 130 grand, and they split that.
30. Okay.
So that just massively exceeded my expectations.
What did they see in your business?
I think they understood the that kind of supply and demand opportunity. So I mentioned the supply side before, but I think on the demand side, we've seen that we play in the space of what used to be called ready-to-drinks, RTDs, pre-mixed and whatever, where this is more of ready-to-serve, so we suggest serving over ice with fruit. But that's the space we play in, and a lot of those drinks have been just capitulating in terms of demand because they're perceived as sugary and fake, and this, Sofi has no added sugar and it's all natural. So we're entering a market that's really struggling with a product that is addressing the consumer demands for sort of healthier alternatives.
What did you...
with a base ingredient that's in massive oversupply. So it's kind of like taking a product that's in massive oversupply into a market that's going through pretty significant change.
Yeah. You got a product relying on oversupply of wine. What about when wine is in undersupply? You stuffed?
We need to go and buy a winery, maybe.
Love it. Well, we've had Messina, Gelato Messina. Dylan, his name was the owner of that, and he's actually bought a dairy farm. Because he wasn't happy with the milk that he was buying.
And mate, we are actually doing some of the same stuff. So we're starting to buy the grapes. So we're moving up the supply chain.
You're going to have a bloody Bondi Beach house. You're going to have a little farmlet in the Yarra Valley.
It's still a massive struggle.
I'm on to you. Guys, Sophie's a front. So, Shark Tank, crowdfunding. What'd you do with 130 grand from Shark Tank, from the 10%?
Good question. Where did it all go? No.
I actually meant that seriously.
A lot of it went into working capital because of the growth, so we had to fund increased supply. I guess our revenues have kind of doubled and tripled each year, and this is a thing again to one of your first questions about learning how to run a business, that growth doesn't necessarily make things easier. So the growth has in some ways made things harder, and it is in itself a drain on cash because you got that big.
As a new small business owner, Tom, what's freaking you out?
Oh, geez, too many things to mention.
Really?
No, I think we're doing a lot of new product development, and again, funding that and just organising it all's hard. So we've gone from one SKU originally, which was
6, haven't you?
We've got 3 different flavours and 4 different sizes, so 12 SKUs, and we're looking at doing another kind of whole packaging format. So we've got the 250ml, 500ml bottles, 30-litre, 50-litre kegs for the cocktails on tap. And we're looking at some stuff for the festivals, and we're talking to the big airlines about an airline pack.
You've got a Qantas contract, haven't you?
Yeah, so we're in all the Qantas business lounges.
How'd you get that?
Actually, that was a great one. Steve Baxter's team, Nicole there helped. To be honest, again, probably like when I went into Shark Tank, I was kind of sceptical that we'd land such a marquee account. I think, blue chip account, whatever
blue chip,
you want to call it. But she was just like, I'm going to give them a call, and she got us in front of them, and they loved it, and they were looking at the space at the time.
Oh, wow.
So again, the market trends worked in our favour, and they worked closely with the guys at Rockpool. So they had to screen it, and they really liked it too. So I guess the product had to stand up to scrutiny from people with high standards, and it did. So we were stoked.
I look at these type of products, alcoholic beverage products, Tom, and as a consumer of them, you walk. There's so many these days. I mean, it used to be relatively limited. You bought a VB or a Carlton or a Island Cooler, I think back in the day, wasn't it? A West Coast Cooler. Generally, most people, I'm guessing, buy off the back of big advertising campaigns, of which the one that comes to mind at the moment is Canadian Club, which I think they are just smashing it out of the water.
It's really excellent.
Wow. But when you've got a deep pocket like clearly they have, sponsoring the Australian Open and TV, I mean, they must be spending millions and millions of dollars. But off the back of that, people buy it. You don't have that luxury. Being on Shark Tank and getting that publicity was a moment in time. Sure, underneath that, you've now got support of some amazing minds. I get that. But I'm guessing you still don't have dough to run ads in magazines or TV or radio. So how do you get awareness? Is it just through distribution?
Well, that is a thing that I have learned is incredibly important, the distribution side. I think that in and of itself often helps to drive awareness and whatnot. So, mate, we do what we can, and new doors are opening up for us. I mean, that Qantas Business Lounge thing is fantastic in terms of just driving trials and in terms of marketing value. It's huge for us, and things like that. I mean, next week we're doing the Bondi Open Air Cinema, for example. Or this week, I'm losing track of dates, where we might not, we make a little bit of money, but it is for the marketing. So it's still an early, a brand early in its life. So I think driving trial is probably the most important thing for us. So if we can raise the awareness and have people taste it and learn what the hell it is, then that's what we're focused on. And there's ways to do that without spending too much money. It might not be on the scale of huge billboards and TV ads, but...
Is there a reason? There is a reason. What is the reason that Qantas and Dan Murphy's and BWS and anyone else is the outdoor cinema? Why are they taking you on? There's lots of choice. Are you well priced? Is it an exceptionally good product? Be objective. What's your pitch? Why?
I think we balance the cost and the quality. We're focused on a quality product. There's the oversupply of wine, so we can pay above average prices. So get premium quality wine, but it's still incredibly cost effective for what is really nice base product. And then on top of that, the Australian government is supportive of the wine industry. So, there's differing tax rules.
Is there? Because I had Stu Gregor from Four Pillars Gin on a few months ago, and he's fairly scathing about I think Four Pillars sells for $75 a bottle. He could sell it for $35 if it wasn't for the tax. Is it
right?
Not the same with wine. You got
it's
a few.
Not the same with wine.
Nice. Yeah. He entered the wrong part of the...
Stu's actually a really nice bloke. He helped me early on. He's a very...
Did he?
No.
He knows his stuff.
What's
a great example of a guy who owns a marketing agency who's been giving all this advice to other brands. He's going, you know what, I'm going to test if what I actually have to say
I actually can't remember how I got his details, but he helped me by giving me someone else's details that helped me on through the journey. So he was one of those people early on that definitely helped.
Yeah, right.
Clearly,
I think clearly one of your secret sauces, Tom, is surrounding yourself with very good people.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, been lucky to definitely in that regard.
Not afraid to ask?
And maybe that helped having a past in kind of sales related roles where you had to pick up the phone and call people and get a whole lot of no's and a whole lot of dead ends, and I guess recognise when there's a vein of opportunity there and then chase that down.
You don't seem, or maybe you have, I haven't found it, you don't seem to have created a media platform for Sofi of your own, a YouTube channel, a podcast series, a big social presence?
We've got over 10,000 on Facebook and Instagram. So we went hard on Instagram early, which I think that actually puts us pretty well placed in terms of Aussie alcohol drinks on Instagram. But we have been investing more lately. Still tiny amounts, but more time and energy more than anything into videos. So we do have a few YouTube videos.
Yeah, I've seen your flagship one. It's nice little one, little cute kind of. What is that Italian car called? Those little three wheelers.
Piaggio Arpe or an Arbolino.
Beautiful.
Yeah, no, that was a bit of fun. So
where's the business at now, Tom? You are 4 years old.
Yeah.
How many staff? Can you talk turnover?
Yep. So we're aiming to serve up over 1 million Sofis this year. That's across all the different packaging formats and whatnot. So that's just kind of a head spin for me. The team has kind of doubled from last year. It was my cousin and I. She left to start a family, which was
fair enough.
Really exciting for her. Really sad for me to lose her. But since then, we've got now a team of 4. So basically got an operations manager, a sales manager and a marketing manager, and myself. So, it
turnover?
keeps us all busy. Can't say that.
Yeah, right. We'll work it out. 1 million servings, 4 stars.
Gives you a feel for it. And we're kind of doubling and tripling each year. So if we can keep that up, it's starting to get meaningful.
Looking back 5 years ago when you weren't doing this and maybe the idea was just a little germ of an idea, how do you feel about it all?
Oh no, I wouldn't take it back. I'm so happy I made the jump. And whatever happens from here, I don't think I'll ever have any regrets for having a crack. So I'm really stoked, and we've been very lucky in a whole lot of ways.
What do you say to people listening who are sitting on an idea, maybe for a new business, maybe just to take their current business to the next level, but they've got pages of ideas and have done nothing? What do you say to them?
Oh, mate, I wouldn't know what to say, to be honest. I used to have a lot of ideas and used to always talk myself out of them. And to be honest, they were probably pretty ordinary ideas. But the time when I had the idea for Sofi, it was the right time for me, and it's turned out, I think, to be a good idea. So I don't know, if I'd necessarily say just jump, do it, whatever the idea is. But I guess I'd emphasise what we've already been talking about, which is go out and talk to people who know what they're talking about, and don't always take negative feedback and let it kill your idea, but be prepared to run the idea up against some brick walls, and if it can't withstand a bit of hit back, then maybe it's not the best idea. But if you believe in it strongly, and I've definitely had to do that at times, if you've got a strong business case, you'll get through the naysayers, and you'll find the people who'll help you on the way, and you'll be right.
Great advice. Where do people find Sofi?
We're now at Dan Murphy's BWS Vintage Cellars, Sofi
Bondi Outdoor Cinema.
Bondi Outdoor Cinema.
So SofiOutdoorSpritz.com, was it?
So no, just SofiSpritz.com. So SOFI Spritz, SPRITZ.com. And we've got all the stocks on there. We've got a bunch of great independent stockists as well, and a bunch of pubs now with the cocktails on tap.
Good on you, buddy.
Thanks, mate.
You should be very proud. Hey? We'll see you next time. I'm going to open one now. Is it going to fizz if I open it into the mic? Oh, yes.
There we go.
I love it. I'll give it a little go. What have I got
over ice, mate. You need it over ice.
Lemon and elderflower.
Lemon and elderflower,
unusual flavour. Let me have a go. Well, there you go, team. Tom Maclean of Sofi Spritz. And I've got to say, it didn't taste too bad for a drink with elderflower in it. That said, I think I am a beer guy. Hey, coming up, I share my top 3 attention grabbers from that fireside chat with Tom. Thanks to American Express, who have exclusively sponsored the entire month of this show. Got to love that. Plus, in this week's Ignite Your Site segment, you are going to discover how to create the right content that attracts the right customers.
Here's a money-making tip from American Express member and Four Pillars Gin founder, Stu Gregor.
I, for the life of me, don't understand why a business won't accept Amex, because what you're potentially doing is knocking back customers who want to spend money on your product or your brand or your service or whatever it is. And I frankly don't understand it. If someone wants to give me their Amex and buy 10 bottles of gin, I tell you what, I'll take their Amex, thanks very much. You're potentially also denying yourself a big chunk of corporate business as well. You know, because a lot of sales guys, I know me in my own business, I use Amex. And if I go to, if I ring to make a booking at a restaurant or a bar or something, I say, do you accept Amex? And they say no, I go somewhere else. So they don't even know the business they're missing out on. It beggars belief. And I often find myself having these rather awkward conversations at the with a shopkeeper or a bar owner or a restaurateur saying, why wouldn't you take it? I'll pay you the extra. I'll pay $1.50, the credit card service fee or whatever you want. Take my money.
It's Business 101, really. Make it easy for people to give you money. Speaking of money, the American Express Business Explorer credit card comes with 50,000 bonus points every year, a low interest rate, and 2 points on every dollar you spend. Not to mention a couple of tickets to the very swish Amex Lounge at Sydney International Airport. Search Amex Business to find out more. New American Express card members only. Terms and conditions apply.
Righto, my top 3 attention grabbers from my chat with Tom Maclean, thanks to American Express. Attention grabber number 1, outsource to the experts. I love that. Find people that are good at what they do and let them do it. As small business owners, we try to do everything. I get that. It's about budget. It's about controlling. It's about all that. I understand it. But the minute you can afford to pay an expert to do part of your marketing, the better, I certainly believe. Focus on what you are good at. Attention grabber number 2, and I quote Tom, he says, quote, you don't need dollars, you need publicity, close quote. Love that. I think publicity is a fantastic marketing strategy, and so often it's free. You know, Tom's been on Shark Tank. He would have got publicity from crowdfunding campaigns. I've got a past episode I did with Sam Elam of Media Maneuvers, who explains exactly how you can get some free publicity. So I'll put that in the show notes for this episode. And attention grabber number 3, escape the corporate cubicle. I love that. I just think every time I hear someone do that, it grabs my attention. So if you are listening and are yet to be a small business owner but have an idea, can I encourage you to do it? Yeah, I know there are other pressures, mortgages and kids and family and wives and husbands and all that. I get that. But I tell you what, it's pretty fun out here in the small business world. Hey, what grabbed your attention? Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/404. It's not an error. It's the episode number. And let me know.
Ignite your site.
You know, with so many underperforming business websites out there, this segment, it is laser focused on ensuring yours is not one of them. To get your website found and your phone ringing, we're joined by Dave Jennings of melbourneseoservices.com. DJ, what is on your mind?
Timbo, so many business owners, when they start content marketing, they're making the wrong type of content.
Yes.
They're making this content that is not attracting the right prospects.
Content for content's sake.
Yeah. We worked with a domestic cleaner, perfect example.
Mm-hmm.
Before they started working with us, they made videos around how do I iron the perfect shirt? How do I clean the grout in my shower? Those
Sounds
sorts
pretty
of things.
good.
It does, but when you think about it, what type of person would be on YouTube typing in, how do I iron the perfect shirt?
I might.
But I'm assuming the person doing that is probably not someone looking for domestic cleaning services. So what we did when we started working with them, we kind of shifted it a little bit and we started making content around answering questions like, should I feel guilty about getting a cleaner? How do I prepare the house before the cleaner comes? My wife, she likes to clean before the cleaner comes.
Kaz is a clean freak. We all know that. Okay, so it's about getting the question right.
Exactly.
And then answering it in whether it be video content, audio content, blog. But put some more thought into the question, because that's what people are keying into Google, and that's what Google are going to index and put up on page 1, correct?
Exactly right.
Brilliant, mate. How do listeners find out more?
Well, if they need some help to, get into the mind of their prospects to know what they're looking for, I want to give them a copy of my book, Authority Content. It's an Amazon bestseller.
Great book.
Giving it away for free.
Okay.
For any...
How?
Well, they just head to authoritycontent.com/Timbo.
That's brilliant, mate. Great offer. That is just one more way to...
Ignite your site.
Oh, I love that segment. And I know you guys do too, getting some great feedback. Thanks to Dave Jennings of Melbourne SEO Services for that. And we're getting quite a list going of ways to improve your website. Now, you and I cover some serious marketing ground in this show. We've previously caught up with Courtney Olsen of Girl, that's GRRL, Fitness Gear. Now, she gambled 95% of her annual marketing budget on the UFC bout about a year ago between underdog Holly Holmes and the world's #1 Ronda Rousey. Courtney backed Holly, sponsored her. The rest is history. That was a great interview. And what about the chat we had with Arthur Greeno of American franchise Chick-fil-A? His marketing strategy involves breaking Guinness World Records. I love that. You'll find those episodes plus hundreds more over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com or subscribe free on your favourite podcast app, which means that you will never, ever miss an episode. Hey, I really would love to hear from you. Now that you've got reason to send me an email, because you might just win a prize. That'd be a good thing. Tim at timreid, reid.com.au. Tell me a marketing idea you've learnt on this show that you've implemented and what impact it has had on your business. I would love to hear from you. A big thank you to American Express Business Explorer Credit Card for being the exclusive sponsor all of this month. If you love the idea of your business expenses rewarding you, which who doesn't, then search Amex Business to find out how. Hey, speaking of love, if you love the Small Business Big Marketing Show, then let another business owner or 10 know about it by grabbing their phone, opening up the podcast app, hitting subscribe when you find this show, and handing it back to them, and then going on to the next one. I'd love you if you did that. Until next week, I am Timbo Reid, always have been, always will be. Thanks for tuning in. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.